Everything fine. I'm just talking and talking since weeks.
Yeah, I can imagine. Coming all out, right? No,
Yeah,
that's
no,
awesome. Um,
diarrhea coming.
yeah, diarrhea of the mouth, right? Here today with Peavy of Rage. Peavy, thank you so much for taking the time today. How have you been?
Yeah, good. Everything fine. I'm just talking and talking since weeks.
Yeah, I can imagine. Coming all out, right? No,
Yeah,
that's
no,
awesome. Um,
diarrhea coming.
yeah, diarrhea of the mouth, right?
Yeah.
So before we jump into the album and everything, I just wanted to ask, what have you been listening to lately?
Other albums. I've been listening to the band of our guitar player Gene. He's doing a kind of metalcore band called Doom Crusher.
Oh, cool, nice.
They're just about to release an album or so. Um, and yeah, very interesting stuff. It was the newest stuff I heard.
That's cool, nice. So having formed in 1984, the band has always done an incredible job at raising the bar with each release, never really repeating the same stuff over and over again. Do you find that it ever gets hard to be inspired to write new material that doesn't feel repetitive?
No, not true. That doesn't go for me.
Yeah,
Inspiration always comes, and we have more ideas than we can use.
that's great,
Yeah,
especially with the world we're in.
luckily, I have to say it's a gift. Yeah, it's really very nice, and we have the luxury of choosing in between shitloads of ideas all the time.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, especially with everything going on these days. So looking back at 40 incredible years, what would you say are some of the lessons the band has learned that's brought you to this 40-year celebration with a double album about to release?
Well, what do we have learned? I don't think that you ever can learn. Life is just up and down all the time, and you never really know what comes. You always think, yeah, you're doing right, and then you just find out a short time later, oh, it was not so good what I did here. So I mean, that's just life. And uh, I'm not trying to do everything as perfect as possible. Just doing what I feel like. And what feels good, what feels right at the moment. And I think that's the best you can do. And what else? We don't have a crystal ball that shows us what would be the right thing. I
Of
just hope
course, of course.
everything goes well and the people can follow me and like what we're doing here. And about doing a double album, actually, this was a wish of mine since a long time.
Yeah, about
Uh,
2006, right?
yeah, 2006 when we did what was our Speak of the Dead back then.
Yeah,
Uh,
yep.
this was also planned to be a double album, but at this point we didn't get the support from Nuclear Blast, which was a label back then. So we had to boil it down on one album. But the concept was already there to have this like split up in the regular power metal stuff and the more epic orchestrated stuff. And as we had that much material for a new album, the situation was after Resurrection Day in fall of 21 that the pandemic was still going on here in Europe, and there was another lockdown. We couldn't tour. We had to delay our tour or our tour for at least 2 or 3 times. There was plenty of time, and we just kept on collecting ideas. And after a few months, we just realized, oh, that's so much stuff that we have here. We really had to run, a good run. And at this
Yeah,
point, the idea came back, like, we could do another album with all this material. And so we asked SPV if they would be interested in this, especially now in streaming times. It's not really the time anymore for such big monumental albums. But they liked the idea, especially as this 40th anniversary was coming up. So they gave us green light for doing so, and here we are.
that's awesome. Yeah, so I was gonna say, so March 29th is gonna be the upcoming release date. Um,
Mhm.
for Afterlifelines via STEAMHAMMER SPV. I know that you wanted to do a double album like we were just talking about back in 2006, but I think it's incredible now. It's really fitting, with the 40-year celebration coming up. What was the writing process kind of like, and how did it differ from past albums?
No, the writing process was not really different. Like I already said, we had a lot of time this time.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
one of the ingredients I think for the good result is that we have so much time. We worked like 2.5 years on all the material. Plus, we have our own studio now. In the time 2 years ago already, we started building up our own recording studio. This is, of course, a luxury when you have all the time in the world to do
Exactly.
whatever you want and how long you want to do it. Because sometimes you're just arranging a song, and then after a while you find out, it's developing maybe in the wrong direction or so, and you want to tear it down again and just start with a raw idea completely from the scratch. And you can do it in this case, because you don't have a loss of, you're not losing any money or so.
Yeah, yeah,
You have all the time, and you're not paying for it, especially.
exactly.
When you rent in a studio, it's quite expensive, and you just cannot. You have to find an end, And in this case, we
Yeah.
could do it as long as we wanted,
So it's great that you brought that up. I actually wanted to ask about the studio that you guys have now. So, like you were saying, obviously saving a lot of money and stuff like that. How does it feel having that space now, finally?
That's a big luxury, Very convenient, a big
Yeah,
luxury. Our guitar player Gene, he's responsible for all the technique. He just we paid for him several learnings as a sound engineer, um, and bought all the equipment. So he's now operating the stuff, and he's getting better every day. For the mix, we introduced, we brought in the picture also a guy called Manuel Cohen he also works for us in the live shows as a front of
yeah,
house
sure.
mixer. He's quite experienced with this kind of stuff, and he did a very good result on mixing. For the orchestration, we brought in Marco Grashoff, a very talented arranger and piano player here from the Lower Rhine area, not far from where we live. So it was all convenient that we could meet all and see face by face, and work on the stuff.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I was going to ask a little bit more about the orchestration later, but you just mentioned about who you were working with. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So disc one, kind of loaded with a lot of hard hitting tracks, some of which are kind of just straight up thrash hits, in your face rock, but there are definitely some modern influences that keep it fresh, which has kind of been the direction that Rage has been taking the last couple of years. How do you balance incorporating modern influences while maintaining that classic style?
Oh, I would say, each song idea demands its own treatment. Some
Sure.
just scream for being produced a bit more modern. Some just scream to be orchestrated or be a bit more getting into progressive details and stuff. Some just want to be raw, like they are in the very first coming up of the idea. So I would say the song tells us what he wants.
That's great. That's great. So the album obviously digs a little bit deeper into kind of some serious themes that we're facing now, kind of as a civilization, including critical failures in our world systems, climate change, and others, especially if we don't change our ways. Tracks like Toxic Waves addressing serious ocean pollution, Dead Man's Eyes, kind of like the existential threat of self-extinction. What would you say was the final tipping point in wanting to address these serious issues within the album?
As you might remember, on Resurrection Day, the one before, I was talking about the evolution of human
Yeah,
cultural evolution, from the Neolithic age, the Stone Age, to
yep,
nowadays, and all these problems that just came up because we explored the whole planet and extended or expanded so that much, so many people on this little planet. It's just causing problems just because we live,
yeah,
and if we don't take care about this now, and find better solutions for a lot of problems that we just created, it might the story might get worse. It's not my personal opinion that we're gonna end up like described on the album. This is a kind of fictional dystopic view of course.
of course, yeah,
Me personally, I'm in good hope that especially the younger generation, they find solutions. There's going to be solutions. Humankind always helped himself out of the problems.
absolutely, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not that the world is going down right now. It's not. I'm not into this pessimistic um, scenarios. But it's just a little reminder that we should get creative, you know, and there's some buzzer somewhere. Is it right?
Right, exactly.
Not a problem. Okay.
So this too, while obviously still hits really hard, completely different level of energy. It's got like this lavish, almost anthemic symphonic addition to it, which reminded me kind of more of a modernized lingua mortis.
Yes.
Almost instantly, as soon as I heard some of the tracks on it. This shows a completely different side of the band, one that for me should kind of show its side more often. I really enjoyed it. It's absolutely incredibly well done. Did you know right away that you wanted to include, now that you have, kind of like this double album, did you know right away that you definitely wanted it to be that symphonic element, or did that kind of come in as you were going along?
I mean, the symphonic element has been a part of the start of the band, at least on some songs since 1996 or so, since
Yeah.
Mortis,
Yep.
since this album. So it's not a completely new element, you know. That
Right.
I guess for the future we will continue having some songs here and there, you know. It's not going to be the general thing, you know. It's always going to be like a side element that if we have a song that just screams for it, you know, we want to give it to it, you know.
Give me more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. So we talked about who was responsible for the arrangement of the orchestral and the symphonic parts. So kind of with over 90 minutes of music that you've written, for this album, completely massive album, were there any tracks that did not make the final cut?
That didn't make it on the album. Yeah, there were some ideas that we didn't really work on, you know. Like I said, we always have so many ideas.
Sure.
So that's already a start for the next album, you know. But of course, at the moment, we're not working on this, you know. But we kept it. We kept everything, and so sooner or later, we will also do something with these ideas.
Cool. So you definitely have a blueprint put aside, so that's cool. Yeah. So for you personally, which track from Afterlifelines resonates with you most personally, and why?
For me, you mean that it was challenging or so, or what exactly?
No, kind of just like what, I guess, what track means the most to you? If you were to pick one out of all of those tracks, which one kind of hits you personally the hardest?
Oh, I would probably choose Lifelines. This long track, you know, this long epic track, together with this interlude, this orchestral interlude, and in the end, actually those three belong together in a way, you know.
For sure.
I see them as the grand finale, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, they are very they're moving in a way, you know. I like this kind of stuff, you know. And I used to be a big Rush fan when I was young, you know. And
of course.
This reminds me of stuff like Hemispheres or whatever, you know.
Okay. No, definitely. That's great. So also I wanted to just quickly touch on the cover art, which I thought was really great. Obviously very fitting for a dystopian post-apocalyptic Earth, but kind of also sort of throws hints at older album covers as well. Can you talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, I mean, there's this little gimmicks in between where Karim, the guy that did the cover, Karim König, Karim King in English. Yeah. He did it, and of course he has some little gadgets here and there that remind of older albums, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I just gave him green light for doing so, you know. We all like this kind of covers where you have all these tons of details, you know, that you can like study it for over and over, you know, just
sure.
See details. Anytime you look at it, you find new details, you know. Without losing like the focus on that thing that just jumps in your face. At the first look, of course, this is needed. You need something that you just understand from the first view, from the first look. But then I
Yeah.
like this little details also, like it was on albums covers, like Number of the Beast from Iron Maiden. So we
Okay.
also have
Yeah. Yeah.
all these little figures down there.
Cool. That's great. So I wanted to switch gears just a little bit. You have your upcoming European tour. What can fans expect from the upcoming tour? And are there any surprises or special moments that you might have planned for the live performances?
Yeah, we will tour in different territories, of course, over the whole year. There's plenty of festival shows
Yeah.
in summer. There's even more stuff we are booking already for next year. We're gonna continue, of course.
Of
um,
course. Yep.
there's gonna be some special shows on some festival appearances where we have an orchestra with us, live
Oh, that would be
orchestra, the
great.
Ringo
Nice.
Motors Orchestra. This is going to be some of the special shows, and there's going to be one in my hometown. I live in the Ruhr area in a little town called Herne, and
Oh, okay, cool.
there's
Nice.
going to be a little open air festival beginning of September, when I have uh, plenty of old musicians of the band on stage. We're going to perform one or two songs or so, even with my very oldest buddies from the band, long before Avenger. I started making music with them by the end of the
Yeah.
70s or
Yeah.
so.
That's
It's,
going to be a great experience. Is
yeah,
that something that you might have filmed with the orchestra?
yeah. I hope so. That there's going to be filmings, and that we can release or use this material later, of course.
That's great. That's great. So Peavy, thank you again, Peavy from Rage. Thank you so much for chatting. Remember to make sure you pre-order your copy of the incredible double album Afterlifelines. There's going to be a link below. It's going to be via STEAMHAMMER SPV, releasing March 29th. You're not going to want to miss it. Thanks again, Peavy. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your support.